Dr. Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for putting together this meeting. The greatest existential threat to the United States is our debt. We're in I'm not an economist by trade, but reading and researching, this is what's going on right now. Having sound tax policy that allows us to bring in revenue, grow our country is critical. Is everything perfect with the TCJA? In my opinion, no. Are there a lot of good things? Yes. It grew our economy, it grew people out of poverty, it helped in every single demographic possible. You know, I hear the phrase so often that they are, quote, not paying their fair share. Mr. Duke, what percent do the top 10% pay in taxes?
Could you repeat the question?
Of the top 10%, what percent of taxes do they pay? 76%.
Okay.
Just to give you the answer real quick. The top 1% pay 45%. The lowest 50% of income earners, what percentage of taxes do they pay? 2.3%. You should know these numbers. I know you know these numbers. You know, the Biden administration through the Pillar 2, I'm glad one of my partners or colleagues brought that up, is trying to give our taxpayer dollars away to other countries. You know, Ireland, to try to grow their economy, guess what they did? They cut the corporate tax rate, and guess what happened? Companies went to Ireland because they paid a lower tax rate. And guess what companies and businesses do? They employ people. Imagine that. What a novel concept. And what do some folks want? They just want more money for the government so the government can employ people. It's good to have people who have run businesses. A lot of the folks on this side of the dais have. I did it in a medical practice, and we didn't get a chance to raise our prices. We had to make sure that we knew where money was coming from and how money was spent. So, you know, I just get irritated. I have to be very frank and say that folks who talk about business policy who've never run a business know what the hell they're talking about. These are folks who are sitting here who stay up at 2 o'clock in the morning on Saturday night trying to figure out how they're going to meet payroll. You know, Ms. Silver, I'm giving my most sincere condolences to you on the loss of your husband. I went out and toured a sweet potato farm that went through, you know, generations upon generations. And now we have the estate tax that is come due, that would drop, that would plummet. How does that work with your family? What things would you have to face if that were to occur?
In 2014, it could have definitely drastically affected us, the expiration of the estate taxes. You know, my husband was the sole shareholder and owner of Catchy, so upon his passing, it went to me. And I don't know if I would have continued on with his legacy if I would have had this large looming tax bill ahead of me. I'm in a very capital-intensive business, which I kind of described earlier. So a lot of time we don't have the liquidity in the business to pay such a tax, like an estate tax, upon someone's passing. And I really view it as double taxation. I've already paid taxes on my assets. I've already paid taxes on my business, on my income.
Yeah, so absolutely. And this is the hard part about America. I think there's just an absolute theological difference on how we run our economy. How do you give people a life that's worth living, esteem, a reason to get up in the morning? You get them a job. You give them something to create. You give them something to accomplish. And we should be creating policies that allow us to grow rather than create dependence. If you look about reform, if we talk about any of the type entitlement programs about reform, it's not about giving money back so people will stay at home. It's about giving them a productive life, going in, growing a job, maybe even having a business of their own someday to employ people, make decisions, make payroll, and God forbid they actually had some extra money left over that they would actually reinvest in their business to grow their people, and guess what? You would employ more people and educate more people. We get into this maelstrom of codependency upon the government check rather than one that you do through your own efforts and energy. This is what our tax policy should be burdened for. I'm happy to work with Democrats. TCJA is not perfect. I'm just going to say that. I wasn't here at the time. It's not perfect. but it gives us a policy that allows American business and innovation to grow, employ people, give them a meaningful life, and at the same time, I'm going to go back to my original statement, help us cut our deficit. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll yield back.